Welcome back to the Berg podcast. Thanks for joining us today. With me today is Dan.
Hey, everybody.
And Ford.
Hey, what's going on?
And I know that we've actually talked a little bit at like the last couple episodes. We sort of hit like this, the timing wise, end of the year or transitioning seasons. But it's actually what we haven't talked about recently is this is actually kind of always a fun time of year because this is usually a transition time between jobs too. We were wrapping some things up. A lot of times late summer, early fall, we're bringing on new work. And we've got actually a fair amount of that happening right now.
Yeah, it's interesting how we've talked about it, over the almost 100 episodes we've done of this about how certain times a year really tie into new work coming, and this year's no different. It's great to see, new projects kicking off and trying to wrap up some jobs that, maybe have struggled a little bit or have had, weather issues or changes, that kind of stuff. But this is historically always a time of year when people are trying to break ground because they're trying to beat the winter time. And it's been really good to see how we got those new jobs lined up. A couple of them have just broken ground in the last couple of weeks and a couple more are getting ready to roll. And how, it's good to just get fresh stuff in the door. It just makes it more interesting and makes it new places for us to be able to provide solutions, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and it's really, we talk about it all the time about who we are as a company. And it's one of the fun things. We start a new job, you get to go to a new place. It's different. It's interesting, right? We're like a company built on ADHD. You know what I mean? We just want to go do the next exciting thing, the next impactful thing and get done. And, the big piece of that is the focus it takes at the end, closing out jobs so that we can get to the next job, because there's two parts to starting any job. One part is the owner being able to get in a position where they have the permitting in place, the funding in place, and all their approvals so we can go. The other part is us actually being able to land the equipment and manpower at the right time so that we can start that job. And that's always it's always a mesh point, because we've found historically we do better if we can land a superintendent and give them the job and let them run with the job and don't change horses over and over again. When you start switching, we struggle. There's always some little bit of loss. I saw an article not long ago saying that it takes 23 minutes anytime you're distracted, 23 minutes before to get back to the point where you were. And when you think about the level of distraction we deal with on a daily basis with technology, there's an argument to be made that you're never productive. You're just always distracted. In a similar way, when we pull foremen, it takes a week for them to get up to speed and understand where they are. And then, 2 weeks later, you pull the foreman and then it happens again. And you piece that together and you end up with a problem. So we've really made an effort to, at times, delay starting jobs over the last year or so to make sure that we start with the foreman that we really want running that job, or adjust and say, we did it recently on one job where we said that one of our foremen was going to run this job for 3 or 4 months. And even though the foreman we had initially earmarked to go there would be ready, we had him do some other work and then come in at a better, it's sort of a transition point where the initial piece of the work had been completed, just so that we didn't change horses that way midstream. So, but it is fun. It's fun to start new jobs. And it's one of those things you picture, like we say, the start of the season, and everybody in your head, you think like March, April, May,
right. Yeah.
But for us, a lot of times the winter you're racing to get it buttoned up. And in the spring, you're actually trying to finish up, the job. And it's usually in early summer or late summer that you're really starting these jobs. And that's where we are now. We got a couple coming on that are on board that we actively broke ground. One was really neat, and we don't talk about where we are, but there's one of them that's really neat because it's so us. You know what I mean? I mean, this job is just, if you could let Dylan or Scott or I, any of the three of us, just say like, hey, what would you like to win? It's a job we'd like to win. Let's go work in an open field of nice soil with nobody around, and let's go move some dirt.
I didn't know that kind of ground still existed, because
they found some. It's not cheap, but they found some, and it's a neat project. And the really neat thing is, we went out, and the contractor actually came back to us again, and they were like, we really like what you do, how you handled the pre-construction portion, and we'd like to talk to you about another job. And lo and behold, it's another open site. And then again, a third opportunity actually as we get started. And we were talking internally about it, that like, this is the work we want. This is the work, Berg was built on this, is getting in with a contractor, an owner, a client, and they see you do good work and they're happy with the solutions you provide and who you are as a company. And they just say, we want you to do the work. And it makes it so much easier, because the relationship is so much better. They want you there because they want you there.
Right.
And you want to do your best because they want you there. It's not adversarial in any way. So I'm really hopeful with that one. And then we had a couple other smaller ones start, and we got another bigger one coming on board. We closed out Lanchester's gas project, which was nice. That was a tricky job that was a lot more technical, honestly, than I thought it was going to be. Team did a really good job on that job of managing beyond what I saw. I didn't see in depth enough for them at some of the finer points of what was going to happen with that job. And when we stepped on, I think we started to get a handle of it. And Scott Gross came over and just, it made a world of difference. His experience with pipe, he just saw it. And the combination of Justin, Scott, and Gary were able to come up with solutions that would work. And, we're concurrently doing the capping project right behind it. And it really became key because it's one of those funny things. Like it is really easy to blame the other contractor and convenient at times, except if you are the other contractor, right? Like it's hard to sit in a construction meeting and me justify that I can't do what I want because this contractor's in my way when I am the contractor.
Right. You're trying to
That's
finish
two
one
separate
thing so you can get out of
contracts.
your way,
That's two
and,
separate
yeah.
contracts. And so, but they really did a good job of getting us through. And then, then of course now we've had, I don't know if everybody noticed, but we're in like monsoon season. It rains like 2 inches every so many days and sometimes
every 2 or 3
consecutively.
days.
Yeah. So that's created its own problems, but the guys are managing, we're trying to just work our way through. I'm hoping that we get to a little bit of fall weather here and it dries out in September here and we get some good clean weather to get some work done.
Yeah. It's funny you say that, we're a company built on ADHD and we haven't talked in those specific terms, but we have talked about the idea, like what interests people generally in construction careers. And it's not because it's low technical, because it's not low technical. It's not because it's low skill, because it's not low skill. But usually it's because you get the opportunity to see a hard day's work, a job well done every day, right? And it's funny because you're right. Like, no, not many people in the construction industry, at least specifically the type of things that we do, are built to like just see and do the same thing over and over again every day. It's always a little different. It's always a little different scenery. The project's always got some specification that the last one didn't have. And that's, I think, part of what engages our team, our estimators for sure. And you're right. It is part of what made us who we are.
Yeah. And it's, what's funny is I don't like the ADHD thing. I think Brian and I, we've talked about, I think Ford and I have talked about it. I'll just say, I don't buy it, right? Like I don't think it doesn't exist. I just don't think it's a thing that needs to be.
It's not as negative as
it's
people
not
make
as
it out to
negative as
at
it
times.
seems like. And I want to go so far as to say it's like not something that has to be medicated. Like in other words, you just have to learn how to manage it and use it for good, like anything else. You know what I mean? Your best quality is usually your worst quality. And you got to learn how to manage it. So I don't want anybody out there to think I'm speaking to ADHD. We have a problem. I think it's a really strong quality we have that we just want to go and do interesting, engaging things. And we lose interest when we're bored. We're like, I didn't sign up to do this. I didn't sign up to do the same thing every single day. I signed up to be challenged.
Well, we talk about it. There's certain, there's big, heavy iron stuff that's done at different types of places, quarries, landfills, some of those things. And they do the same thing every day. I mean, it's like, I guess they could be building widgets or building cars in Michigan. That's kind of like you do the same thing, try and get better at it every day, but you're doing the exact same thing. And that's what I remember there was a job that I went and loaded trucks for like a week. And all I was doing was quarter turns and loading trucks. Every time I was trying to
Steve Keach would be really happy if
Yeah.
you kept it at a quarter turn.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But the only thing I could do was try and clean up the cut and try and keep myself flat. Like that was like the trick. That was what I was keeping myself busy. Now this was a week and the job was like 6 months long. So it was long, but it wasn't like 30 years long of doing the exact same thing. And so again, it's back to knowing yourself, knowing what you like, how you like to do things, breaking the first piece of ground on a new job site where you're the only contractor on the site so far, you're getting it started. That's the fun part of the thing. getting the rest of the way through the job, that takes consistency. But again, you're also doing different things throughout the job. So it makes it more fun when you're, okay, one day you're throwing a piece of pipe in the ground. The next day, you might be grading something off. It just keeps it more lively. And I think in general, people that are in our industry, in the type of works that we do, that really appeals to them, because if it didn't, it would be challenging, because people that don't like that much change get very frustrated when they're constantly, well, I had a plan for this. It's like, well, plan change. I mean, we talked about what letter A through Z of plan changes, and in our world, you have to be adaptable at all times.
Yeah, the other thing too, Ford, along those lines, is we work in an industry where things are hard, right? But also, it's hard everywhere. Like in most jobs you do that are of a physical or manual nature, it's hard. And so you have to figure out a way to make things fun. Like if you make it even, sports, Brian, you coach lacrosse, right? Or when I played football, there's a lot of things that are not fun about football. I was at practice with my daughters the other day, and they did some drill, and for a split second, it looked like they were going to do Oklahomas, which Oklahomas, you know what Oklahomas are? So Oklahomas are like a virtually outlawed drill now, but in the old days, you would set up 2 tackling dummies, 2 bags, maybe 4 yards apart. 2 guys lay on the ground, on their backs, facing up. Coach stands over you with the ball, drops the ball to someone. You don't know who's going to get it. Whoever gets the ball, you're the running back. Whoever doesn't, you're the tackler. If you really want it to get interesting, you put the 2 guys on the ground. You set it up ahead of time. There's a linebacker and a tailback. Or if you really want to be mean, no blocker, lineman, linebacker, 2-on-1. But they're just disasters. I mean, you just get absolutely crushed. And in my memory, that was the most fun thing to ever do. Except when I really think about it, I remember what it felt like to run that drill. Like it was brutal. I mean, you'd get annihilated. Like there were setups where you were going to get annihilated. There was really the best you could do was hold on and be drugged down the field because you had 2 people on you. But in my mind, that was fun. And that's the way I think it's a good relationship for me of how I think about work. I mean, you take some of our guys that are in a trench and you say, like, how can it possibly be fun to be in a trench? 8 foot in the ground, 10 foot in the ground, you're double boxed, it's deep, you have a giant track over you, there's this heavy pipe, there's so many things going on as these guys are trying to do this work. You're like, how can that be fun? But those people doing it, they find a way to make it fun for themselves between the challenge and the knowledge they have to have and the variation in that every stick they put in might be just a little bit different of what they have to do it. They find a way to make that fun. And that's what makes it go. That's what makes each piece they put in that thing. And it's interesting when you think about that, because it's not the same as someone doing manufacturing work, right? Just sitting there, just making widgets. That's not the same. It takes a different mental capability, which likely the person that needs change couldn't do, and they don't fit. But it's why it's really important as a young person coming up that you find where you fit best, because it's important. There's the old thing about if you enjoy what you're doing or have fun what you're doing, you'll never work a day in your life, which is, to some degree honest, but the honest part is it makes it that it's that you can do it for a career. You can do it for 30 years.
Well, and just to tie in there, we always reference some other podcasts, but you said football. And last night I watched the Kelsey documentary on TV.
I haven't watched that yet, but
as anybody that's an Eagle fan or just a football fan in general, it's really good. Probably wouldn't watch it around your children. It might get a little NSFW or whatever they say for the language on it, but it's just neat to see the behind the scenes on like what goes into the preparation. When you're talking about those drills that goes into, now he's got arthritis in all his joints and all this stuff, but it's just that the wear and tear that puts on him, but he enjoys doing it so much that he just can't basically stop.
You can't walk away from it, right?
Yeah. Well, he's also trying to figure out what he's going to do next, and he can't figure that out, and it's just the whole thing.
He's got so much personality. Those 2 can do anything they want. And did you see
his podcast is like the highest rated sports podcast. I've never even heard it, but
it's supposed to be really good. Him and his brother, they just talk. It's funny. I mean, I don't listen to a lot of podcasts, but I've heard a little bit of that one just because they are who they are. Did you see? I'll take us completely off the rails. Did you see Manning's talking about the Kelseys?
No,
I don't know where. I don't know what it was on. I don't know how I ended up seeing it, but it's them and they're talking about the Kelseys. Like it's completely like not self-deprecating because it's the opposite of that. What they're doing is trashing the Kelseys, but in a really nice way as a joke. Because they're the Mannings. I never liked
Southern
Eli,
boys. They're polite about it,
but they are hilarious. Yeah, it's like Heath. Yeah, but and they're like, God, they are the best 2 brother and combination. Just talking athletes. I mean, they only have like won one or two Super Bowls, but I mean, but that's still good. You know, like they're just trying. It's hilarious as they like just go through, because you think about it, just statistically, the likelihood of having two brothers who could be at the upper echelon of any sport playing that way, and then make it that they could potentially both be like Hall of Fame caliber, whether they make it or not, type players. And then they have that much charisma that they can just switch gears and people will pay to listen to them just talk. It's crazy. The commercial with the mom, with the new one with the NFL one, when they said she wanted to set up a romantic relationship with somebody. Remember, one of the coaches, they're going over like the storylines of the NFL, and Travis is behind it. Jason's against it. He's like, wait, what about that?
That's funny. I didn't watch a lot of the Monday Night Football, but every once in a while I like to catch the one that like is the Manning commentary while it's happening. Cast. Yeah, whatever that's called. And it is mostly them like making fun of themselves, you know, talking about how good of athletes they were. They were talking to who's the tennis player? John McNamara, right? McEnroe, thank you.
McNamara, I believe, was a Secretary of Defense or something, but
oh yeah, that could be too. Yeah, but anyways, they were talking about playing tennis with him, and Eli was suggesting that he could send over some of his pickleball films for John to evaluate. So yeah,
that's on a separate. I'll stay on football. On a
separate, like way off.
We're way off topic. Yeah. The most engaging topic for me right now in football is not actually NFL. I have like, it's not even a guilty pleasure with Deion. I have loved Deion Sanders since he went to college when I was in like high school, because I'm old. And I remember like they turned out the lights in Florida State. There would be smoke. There's an Indian on a horse with a flaming arrow, a flaming spear. It was just bad. It was just awesome. And then he played the way he did. I mean, he just dared you to throw the ball his way. What he is doing, he is like the greatest marketer on the planet. I mean, he's just willing this team to the top. They're ranked 18 or something now at this point. They have 4 consecutive nationally televised games. They were terrible last year, and the team's entirely new.
Did they have 1 win, 2 wins?
2 wins
last year.
65 people in the trade terminal.
Yeah. It's crazy.
It's crazy.
They had 55,000 people at their game.
Yeah. And did you see that
they're saying that this game, Colorado USC, will be the most nationally televised game this year, not some of the Alabama games, not some of the.
No, it's great. Yeah, and did you see his Play My Theme music thing? It's something that he did. And he met with, I read an article about it, and he met with the band at Colorado. And he said to the band, what we're going to do is we're going to convert, I want the band to participate like a historically black university. So he wants it to be like, which is, I've never seen that in person.
Okay.
But you know what it is. Like I've seen it on TV. You know what it is. I mean, there's a lot to it, and that's a different band. And so he wants them to do that. But then he has like a live DJ in the locker room, and he gives his speech with music behind it. Then he's like, now play my theme song. And they play a theme song, and they come out. It's like, they're like superheroes. Like he's got these kids. It's like remembering the Titans. Like they believe they can like take over the world. I don't know what's going to happen, but it's fun to watch.
Yeah.
Well, get into the back of how it's getting willed through there. But actually, I was going to say did you see the old people commercial for the old players?
I don't think I saw that.
It was actually, in today's world, 85% of the commercial on TV are about like some medicine or something like that, right? But there's actually, I think it's like a Pepsi one, but it's like Jerry Rice. Oh, who is it? Barry Sanders and a couple guys like, we can still play. And then they shows them going out there trying to do it. And it's like fresh content, something new. I was like, oh, finally a new commercial, something that's actually interesting. Because usually it's like, all right, commercial time, let me go do something else. And I actually saw one that was good. But
that's funny.
Now, I mean, that's the hallmark of fall coming around, right?
Yeah,
that Saturdays and Sundays you turn on TV or you go anywhere and there's some TV on playing some football game. Who knows who's playing, but you're watching somewhere.
Yeah, we're closing in on the time of year where there's like 3-4 days a week with NFL football, right? So,
but we're way off topic.
We're way off topic.
But that is about changing seasons. So I think we stuck with it there.
Okay. Also about changing seasons.
But our ADHD where we change topics in the middle of it.
And ADHD. Okay. So wait, we're close here.
As long as we're on ADHD, Ford did want to also bring up that, remember out there, guys, that school has started.
Yes, school started.
Just be mindful. Coming through Morgantown, you have Conestoga Christian, and all of a sudden it's 15 miles an hour. It catches you off guard. There's school buses everywhere. we can date ourselves here. You also have to be mindful of people who perhaps should be incarcerated, which are currently just running around Chester County.
Oh,
And
yeah,
so watch out for that too. That's creating some traffic diversions for some of our guys.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, on a serious note, when they go back to school, we all notice it. You know, you have school buses, you have traffic. We're all in a hurry, and we're all trying to get done everything we can get done and be as productive as we can. But at the end of the day, the key to going home safe is being safe.
Right.
You know, and a lot of our guys spend time, you know, between our trucks that are actually driving and even just all our guys driving to and from job sites. Just, you know, be aware of it. Leave yourself a little extra time and make time. You know, Herb Sargent had said to me, I don't know, probably 6 months ago, he had heard a podcast or it was a coach or something, and he said that I should use my cruise control and just set it and don't speed. Which, as a person from New Jersey, I'm trying. But
how does it work for you?
I did it for the first time ever from the shore coming back and set adaptive cruise control and left it go. It actually stopped the vehicle and stopped traffic. I was shocked. I was like impressed. I called my brother about it. I was like, this technology is amazing. But I did get home and I was like, I could have totally made it home like 15 minutes faster. So I just want to not let this car drive itself.
The adaptive cruise control is interesting, especially when you're coming to a spot with like heavy traffic, right? Because it's like pros and cons for me. I've never had a vehicle with it until recently. I rented some cars that had it, and so it's always like a shift. But like if you use the adaptive cruise control and it leaves like an appropriate amount of space between you and the car in front of you, someone will always take that space.
Yes. Then your brakes will jam on because
it jams the brakes on, and the person tailgating you because you're leaving 2 car lengths in front of you. It's like a catch-22. Like I like it, and then I'm annoyed by it.
So where I don't like it is when we're on an open highway that one person is going slow. And like if I was talking to the girls and all of a sudden I realized I was going like 15 miles an hour under the speed limit and I didn't actually notice because it didn't slow down. So I was aggravated.
No, it did slow down, but you didn't realize it.
Yes,
it kept
well, I meant like I didn't feel the slowdown.
Right.
It just felt the car, it sensed the car was up there and so it slowed it down gradually. But they do cut you off. But I think for my marriage purposes, this could be really helpful because I will get right on the car in front of me, especially on the Schuylkill.
Oh.
Because the Schuylkill, if you leave more than a half a car length, then you've invited someone to cut you off. So I actually remember
a defensive move almost.
It is. I actually remember one time here, and I don't know where we're going to go after this, but I remember one time Ford was in one of his cars, and I think somebody rear-ended you on the Schuylkill.
On the Schuylkill.
And Ford didn't even stop. He was so aggravated that he was like, I'm not even stopping. This is ridiculous. We were meeting somewhere, and he was like, Tamara told me. And I was like, they rear-ended you and you didn't stop? He's like, I'm not stopping on the Schuylkill.
It would have been more dangerous to stop. It was a little bump, and I was like, I mean, you can tell if it's a real bump or not.
Yeah.
But
I've had that happen. Like, because of lacrosse, we used to travel to like Long Island a lot. There's no good way to get to Long Island. You go through the city, around the city. Yeah. Anyways, but like I've been several times stuck in traffic around New York City and have people like bump me, and I'm just like, they're just.
All right. So one last thing about the cruise control, but it's not the cruise control.
Oh.
Well, it is cruise control in general. I don't understand the people that when you're on the turnpike and they're going slow, and so you go past them, and then they leapfrog you, and then they slow down again, and then they you just keep having to try and get away from the person.
Like, why don't they use cruise control?
Right.
They only want to go a certain speed.
Right. It's like I'm on cruise control, so I'm getting around you so I can get them back on my cruise control.
Same.
And then here they come rolling up past you, and they get in front of you, and they slow down again. You're just like, why didn't you just stay behind me? Like I don't like. The adaptive cruise control does not go faster, so you had to put your gas pedal down. And I'm just like, what is this person doing? Like, I'm trying to get away from them, and they just want to keep like playing leapfrog.
Yeah, for sure. Have you heard about this? So I like when GPS first came out, I'm going to date myself now, right? Because GPS, has only been a real consumer product for, I don't know, probably like
years?
20 years. Yeah. Okay. All right. So, and that's not that long. It's sort of around the time I started driving.
Depends who you're talking to.
It depends. It's long for Kelsey.
That's true. And, but what I loved about like early GPS was like, if you didn't hit traffic or maybe you went a few miles an hour over the speed limit, you could like
beat your time.
You could beat the time. Yeah. And that's always been kind of like a thing. Like, all right, it says it's going to take me 45 minutes to get somewhere, or 5 hours, or whatever it might be.
44, yes.
Yeah. But they're changing this to adapt to your driving style. Have you heard this?
Yeah, no,
Well, that and they have live traffic data to help.
Well,
them.
that always kind of messed with me too, because I'm like, why is my time getting longer? There's no traffic, and then 40 minutes later you hit a pile up somewhere.
Yeah, see, I just had this conversation. Was it you and I that had this conversation about my favorite? We just talk about, guys, how you make things fun.
Sure.
I make driving fun for me by beating my GPS, and my GPS is actively adjusting to how fast I drive.
Yes.
I've considered, if Erin didn't own a minivan, I would take her car and her GPS just to see how much I could actually beat a GPS.
Well, why don't you just put the GPS on in her car when she drives? And leave it in there,
smart.
and you
And
got to
then
beat
it'll
your
slow
phone.
me down. Yeah, then I can slow my phone down. I'll rig the game like Bill Belichick. You're like,
I mean, what's
Bill
the
Belichick.
people that did the thing where like they have to 10,000 steps for their
they
thing,
put
and
it
they
on
just
the
put
dog.
the dog. You know, I mean, you got to play the game.
But my favorite thing to do with the GPS, originally you would just set the GPS and you could just smash the number. I could annihilate that. Now it gets harder. If I can beat it by 5 to 10 minutes, I've really done something.
Yeah.
But the thing I really like to do now, because it adjusts, is that, and Erin gets frustrated with me on this, especially going to the beach, growing up in South Jersey. I know 100 different ways to go through South Jersey. And even we call it the southern route. So if I take Commodore Barry and I'm going to head through like Mullica Hill, there's a lot of back roads through those cornfields. And I like to see it say like, you got 55 minutes. And then I'm like, I can beat this. It's like name that tune or something. I can beat this. And I make a turn and it's like, now you've got an hour and 5 minutes. I'm like, you think so? And then all of a sudden it creeps back down in there and it's like, it's unbelievable. You beat it by 5 minutes. I was like, I knew I could cut through these. And I'm just weaving through back roads. And she said, you saved virtually no time.
But
and you made like 55 extra turns and stops. Why not just drive the car straight and just get where you're going? I was like, well, I made it a challenge. I've achieved it. But the AI on this thing, on the GPS is insane.
It's really interesting that now, the traffic adaptation was always interesting. And I've actually used GPS a lot in places I knew exactly where I was going just to see if there was traffic and those types of things. But now the adaptation where it is adjusting to how consistently you drive, whether it's over, under the speed limit, whatever it might be, to make that like now your time's going to be shorter if you typically speed a little bit or whatever, just because it expects you to. So
well, and like we can build a whole podcast on this. The other thing that aggravates me too is in the old days, if you were locally known the area, you knew shortcuts. But now the GPS is pushing all these people that don't know the area into these shortcuts. So all of a sudden, like you're going to the city, there used to be like 23, or you jump down and go around this way. And there was like ways that if you're getting to Conshohocken and you see a slowdown, you're jumping off and going down and around. Like that's the way you go.
You're going by the Philadelphia Country Club,
you're
drop
going
down
through
along the
there.
river.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're pushing all these people
on
on there that actually sometimes I will like literally ignore mine and stay on the main road because they pushed everybody else.
Everyone else. When it says save 7 minutes, I'm like, nope, because everyone else is saving 7 minutes.
I do that. I just did that coming back on with the adaptive on.
Okay.
And it said like the Android Auto said I should switch and take the other road. And I was like, nope, it just switched. Everybody's going to go. And you just watched the traffic in front of me and everybody went right. And I was like, no, sir, I'm going straight.
I got tricked last winter. It was the funniest thing. It's a new one that never happened to me before. We were coming back 95. And I see in front of me, the road is green, right? Because usually it gives you colors and everything. And I see this one exit's red. I'm like, what on earth is going on here? They had a nighttime shutdown of the road, so everybody had to get off this exit. But it wasn't
hadn't adjusted.
It hadn't adjusted. So I'm like, it's green ahead. We're going to go. And then all of a sudden we had to go like these.
You had to get off because of a detour.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But no, I mean, how many times were like, I just did it this weekend, like when I don't know a place, and all of a sudden it's taking me these back country roads, and I'm getting like, all right, is this really the best way to get there? Like I've been there once or twice, so that's not the way I went the time before. Right. And it's like, all right, turn down here, and then you got like 3 little left turns, right turns. And you're like, where on earth am I? Like hard to get back out of here if I need to.
The girls say Erin just follows the blue line. That's how they refer to Erin driving. Erin just follows the blue line. Wherever that blue line tells her to go, that's where she goes. But the other interesting thing that happened with the technology of what's happening between the GPS systems and the adaptive is I said to the girls, we're one step away from this car driving itself. And they were like, and I said, it's likely that the next car we buy in another 3 to 5 years is going to be capable of driving itself. And they said, so then you could just not drive. And I had a really interesting discussion with them about something it was a Mercedes article that I had read. And they said that Mercedes was looking at, does a car even have to look like a car if you're not going to drive it, right? Like the only reason for a windshield is so that you can drive. Why are you facing forward? Like, why wouldn't you have all four people sit like they're at a table? Like you could completely change the dynamics of a car, but I don't think there's anything more like terrifying to me than the idea. I don't want to give up driving my car. You know what I mean? Like I have my old car from when I was young in the garage, and it's a stick. You know what I mean? Like in other words, it has power windows, but I mean, it also has a cassette player, so that'll date it for you.
At least it's not an 8-track.
It's not an 8-track.
Not an 8-track.
But you know, you think about the change that's going to go on in the next generation or two of, you know, our grandkids might not actually know how to drive a car because you'd have to buy an old car to be able to drive it, and you know, that's a weird thought.
I was going to say, sometimes you're on the road and you wonder if some people already don't know how to drive a car, but that's a different conversation.
I would be okay if the cars could Bruce Willis people who drive too slow. Remember, what was that movie, The Fifth Element or something? And the car automatically took his license away and then parked itself. But I would only be okay if these decisions were made for slow driving like people clogging up lanes. And if you're speeding, I don't think you should lose your license.
People who only drive in the left lane on the highway.
With their blinker on the right and their hands at 10 and 2.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's
all
bad.
right.
Now, I think we've done it now.
Yes. I don't know where to go from here, and I know we've wandered from where we started, but I think it was all close to being relevant. So
hopefully you enjoyed it, everyone.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us today. Come back for another episode, and we'll talk to you soon.